On today's Questions Answered, we're answering more belt drive questions because we're Priority Bicycles and we love belt drive. And our first belt-related question is, do I need to buy a replacement belt with my new belt drive bicycle? And the answer is, it depends. And if you're doing recreational riding, like on one of our Coasts or Classic Plus models, you probably don't need a replacement belt. Our CDN belts generally last 3,000 to 6,000 miles in normal riding conditions. So it's unlikely that you're going to be in a scenario where your belt leaves you stranded. If you're doing daily commuting, like on a Continuum Onyx or a Priority 600 or maybe even an Apollo, you don't necessarily need to have a spare belt on hand unless you're going to be in a remote area where you absolutely need your bike to be functional to get you where you need to go. Similarly, if you're doing remote touring, long distance touring, you're going to be in remote areas and you absolutely need your bike to work, having a spare belt on hand is a really good idea, and I do recommend purchasing one with your new bicycle. But all of our adventure line, including our 600 ADX, Gemini, or HXT, all come with a Gates CDX level belt, which is designed to last quite a bit longer than a typical chain in comparable conditions, and we see them last anywhere from 6,000 to 10,000 miles. So unless something really dramatic happens, then you should be fine. The next question is, can I replace the belt myself? And the answer is absolutely. And you can generally do it trailside or by the side of the road with really simple tools. I often find that replacing a belt is much easier to do than replacing a chain on a comparable bike. Another thing that makes swapping a belt out really easy to do at home is you don't get grease everywhere. You don't have to lubricate a belt, so when you go to take it off, you don't get your hands all greasy, you don't get grease all over the place. It's a much cleaner process than doing it with a chain. Next question. Do I need to lubricate the belt? No. Moving on. No, but okay, in some instances, if there's really fine dust or you're riding in conditions where the dust or debris is making the belt make noise, it can make sense to lubricate the belt with a silicone spray. But for the most part, in all conditions, you really don't need to lubricate the belt at all. Next question. Can I put a belt on my existing bike? Well, if your bike isn't designed for belt drive, then generally, no. All of Priority's bikes are designed with a frame split or a frame that accommodates being able to take a belt on and off the bike because the belt doesn't separate in the same way that a chain would. So the frame needs to separate to allow the bike to fit onto the drivetrain. And so if your bike isn't designed to take a belt, then you cannot install one. Next question. Do belts require maintenance? And the answer is not really. You don't actually have to really do anything to your belt. You can just ride all year round and, it'll be pretty fine. That being said, if you want your belt to last longer, cleaning it off on occasion with water can really prolong its life. So it's not a bad idea to clean it every now and again if you're riding in bad conditions. Next question, can I get my clothing caught in a belt? And the answer is probably, yeah, it's possible if you're wearing really loose-fitting clothing, a long dress, or really loose pants. It's definitely less likely for that to happen than on a chain because, on chain sprockets and chain rings, the teeth are much sharper. On a belt drive bike, it's just less grabby, but you probably still want to be careful about what clothing you're wearing when you go to ride your bike. The next question is, can I snap my belt? And I think a lot of riders who haven't ridden belt drive are concerned about this. And the answer is, it is very, very hard to snap a belt. And even you plus an electric motor can't deliver enough torque to snap a Gates carbon belt. But it is possible for these belts to break, but generally it's user error or some kind of mishandling that destroys the carbon cords that make up the structure of the belt, or some other kind of damage that leads to weakness in the belt. But in normal riding situations, it's virtually impossible to break one of these. If you have any more questions about belts or belt drive on Priority bicycles, post them in the comments and we'll address them in a future video.